Okay, good evening. We're going to start. The next two shiurim is going to be in Hilchos Mezuzah. Hopefully, we will go through this week. Simmer Reish by Hai, Reish by Vuf, maybe Reish by Zayin. We'll see. Yisoid is the Hallachos, very important Hallachos. This is halacha which has to do with on a daily basis. Mitzvah b'chol yoyim b'chol rega. Mitzvah esa daraisa, that to place a mezuzah on the door of your house, as the Torah says. Ich safta ma mezuzahs b'secha v'sherecho. The Torah writes it twice. Parsha Shema v'hoyim shemoya. So according to some poskim, the Mechizchina brings it down, is when a person puts on a mezuzah on his house, he's v'kaim two mitzvahs. The moina mitzvahs only moina counted for all mitzvah, but akaponam, some poskim want to say that every time when a person, every second when a person has a mezuzah on his door, basically is a makaim a two mitzvahs esa. If he doesn't have a mezuzah on his door, is a mavatal two mitzvahs esa. When he's makaim, is it makaim b'chol rega v'rega. What did the Torah say to write? Ich safte mal mezuzahs b'secha v'sherecho. The two parashas, Shema v'hoyim shemoya. The reason why the Torah wanted you should put a mezuzah on your doorpost is because in these two parshas there's Yichet Hashem. Yichet of Hashem Yisborach, and since Yichet Hashem Yisborach, that's the Yisoidus from a Yid, therefore is the Torah wanted that constantly when you come into your house, when you walk out of your house, you should always remember that there's a Rebbeinu Shalom who created the world and who's running the world, and so therefore you have to have it on the doorpost, because this is the way how you could see it constantly. Another thing steht in Chazal, that a person which has a mezuzah, he is zuir the mitzvah. That means he does it b'shleimas, because there's a lot of protem in the mitzvah of mezuzah. And sometimes you could put a mezuzah and it's not kosher. Where do you put it and how you put it? And then as you in the mitzvah, you mavat le mitzvah esa. So Chazal say v'chalazur, that means he does it b'shleimas. Yarichu yomov imay bonov. It's as gila farichas yomov for you and for your children, because the pasuk says leman yirbu yamaychem v'yamay v'naychem aladumu. After the chsafta ma mezuzah, it says leman yirbu yamaychem v'yamay v'naychem. In mamayla is as gila farichas yomov. And chaz v'sholom, if a person does not have a mezuzah on his door, is katzri yom, rachmun l'slan lo yalaynu. Noch mehr steht, Lushna Motcha says, kol bayis shetiken kehelchusoi b'mezuzah, a house which has a mezuzah properly, ein shim mazik yuchel lishel. There's no mazik could come and be shoylezan on this house. And a person who has azur b'mezuzah, yiskele dire nuah. Will have to have a dire nuah, a nice house. But the Chronim say, the Torah say that even though that it has a lot of zgilas, yerichas yomim, and a shmira on the house, and yiskele dire nuah, a person should not do the mitzvah in order to be mekayim, to get schar, and to be having the shmira. Although it is a shmira, but that shouldn't be the attention. The attention should be las es nach asrich la boy is burach shemoy. In commitment, so therefore that's what should be the reason why you put a mezuzah, not because of shmira, because you want to do a mitzvah. A mitzvah the rise davum kavuna. So that should be the kavana, that you're doing it in order to be mekayim the mitzvah. The poskim write that there's a mitzvah of hiddur mitzvah, and therefore there's an Indian that you should have a nice mezuzah, and you should pay extra amount at chomesh. So that means we know that hidden mitzvah is at chomesh, or at shlish, or at chomesh. So al kaponim is a person should pay extra amount, extra money to have a nice mezuzah, and that's part of hidden mitzvah. And that's part of the mitzvah of Zekeli Van Vai. It's new in the fun of a mitzvahs. And the Chazal say one of the things is mezuzah nuah. What does it mean, mezuzah nuah? Nice parchment, nice dioi, nice ksav. That means the iman, the soifa should be a nice. So therefore, when a person has 2 mezuzahs, he could have a $40 mezuzah, or he can have a $100 mezuzah. It's like kaponim is the inyan to pay extra for a nice mezuzah, especially for a mezuzah which comes from a ehrliche soifer, because today's day you have to be very careful what you buy a mezuzah if you don't know who the soifer is. So even if you have a makler, somebody who sells you a store, who sells you and says, I know him, it's an extra hidden mitzvah, you should know who the guy is, if he's Yerei Shamayim, and you should pay extra money for that, because that's a chalik of hidden mitzvah. There are some people that have a misconception, which one said it in the beginning, that it's enough a mezuzah just in the front door. Especially when you go out of town and you see people who are, or they're not from, or they are from, but, you can see that you'll have a mezuzah on the front door or maybe on their bedroom. But it is not true. As the Ramu in Siman Draish Paisai Sivais brings from Chivas Meril, that there are some people who have this misconception that one mezuzah outdoors is enough, and it's not true. A mezuzah has to be on B'chol Pesach, but Pesach has to be a mezuzah. The people who only put one mezuzah outdoor, Ein lehem amashi isnoichi. And there's the loshef in the Terzu of B'chol mi shenugi yiris elikim beliboy, yase mezuzah b'chol psuchav. You should make mezuzah all in every room. So you have to make sure hidden mitzvah also in every room. Since we just mentioned there's no b'mfuma mitzvahs, is also a hidden mitzvah and a mezuzah. And since every mezuzah, every room is an extra mitzvah, so therefore, is do of yede mezuzah do a to be machman, it should be a nice mezuzah, a Yerei Shamayim, and a nice ksav hidden mitzvah.
So he says only those that the Torah says that those that have a Yerei Shamayim should have in every door. What was the lashon there?
No. As it not every whole mish yesh Yerei Shamayim, the lashon from the Terezuv is kom mish nu Yerei Elikim beliboy. And so the poskim say, what does it mean, Yerei Shamayim, basically? So the poskim write that, for instance, a person which moves in a house and he has 20 doors, but he has only 8 mezuzahs or 10 mezuzahs, and he's going to get more mezuzahs, because today, if you order 20 mezuzahs, not necessarily you can have mezuzahs. So therefore, he should put on the doors which he is going to use, and he should try not to use the rooms if he doesn't need, which doesn't have a mezuzah. A person it needs to have a room and there's no mezuzah, so it's also to use that room. And of them came the Terazuv, but if you are afraid of mezika that you should have a mezuzah over there. But mitzad halucha, is mevat la mitzvah, but mevet nish uset to use the room. So therefore, if you have not enough mezuzahs, you should put it on places which you're gonna use, and not on places which you can push and not use that room. But how we're gonna see down the road, there's a lot of things which is a machlokas rishonim, a poskam, if you're mechiv mezuzah. For instance, the Rambam holds that if you don't have a door, it's not mechiv mezuzah, and etc. A lot of things which you're going to go through, we're going to see. So therefore, a person, if he doesn't have full mezuzahs, for the whole house, he should go through the whole house and see which rooms are mechiv b'mezuzah l'chol hadayis, b'frat min ha'toira, and he should put it on that room. And that room he should use, and all other rooms he should not use if he doesn't need to, because this is the Indian as Yerushalayim should have mezuzah in all rooms which he uses. Choyves habayis, we're going to see it's a choyves of habayis, and it's not a choyves of a person. And it's a choyves hador. So therefore, if a person has a apartment and he's going to move in over there, when is the chiva mezuzah? When is the zman that you chiva mezuzah? Now, first of all, we have to remember the chiva mezuzah is choyves hador and not the choyves of who own the house. That means if a person, as we're going to see soon, a person owns a house and he rents it out for other person, yeah, the person who owns the house has no chiv to put a mezuzah. Even if the guy who moved in is a yid and he doesn't want to put a mezuzah on his door, it's not the chiv of the person who owns the house to put a mezuzah, because a mezuzah is choyves hador and not choyves hamaskir. Therefore, since choyves hador, you have to put a mezuzah only when you move in. But what is considered already moving in, that you mechim mezuzah? Now, first of all, if you own a house and the yid was there and he moved out and he took down the mezuzahs, although it's not allowed, but he took it down. Since it's choyves hador and now it's empty, the masker does not have to put the mezuzah over there. When does a person have to put a mezuzah? So as we're going to see, right away when he moves in. But what does it mean when he moves in? We're going to see soon. We're going to see soon what does it mean when you move in. But let's get first to other things. As I mentioned before, being in a house which there is a mezuzah, it is only a lekchila. If it's efshir, you could use it. You could do it. That means if a person has a room, a house which was a mezuzah, and in the middle of Shabbos it fell down the mezuzah, there's no such thing as you have to move out. You don't have to move it all. Then, although you're mechiv to have a mezuzah, but since you cannot put it back, the mezuzah onto the door, so therefore it's not awesome, as I mentioned before, to live in a house which doesn't have a mezuzah. And if he doesn't have another room, he could stay in that room. Now, if he has a room, as I mentioned before, the Terezuh of Yerushalayim, he shouldn't use it. But Akapurim, if he doesn't have any room, he doesn't have to go out, and it is okay to use. So therefore, also, when a person takes down the mezuzahs because he wants to give it for a soifer to be boidik, is lekitchila, since if a person does not have a mezuzah, he's mavatla mitzvah, and as we mentioned before, 2 mitzvahs, he should mishtadel that he should put it back right away if it can, mitzvah and mifchid the same day. Sometimes it's not possible. Then you should put it at least the next day. But hakaponim mitzvah min hamufcher kedai mishtadel zan, as you should put it on constantly, because the house shouldn't be without a mezuzah. There are some people which they're machmad that when they took it down to be boidek, they put on temporary mezuzahs till they get it back. That means even if it's the same day. As ich tight and shivas anugas, but lamasa, people are not knowing that, and they stay a day, sometimes even the next day, if they want to put it back with a bracha, which only when it's overnight, then you could put it back with a bracha. So, but don't leave it for a long time. That you should be without a mezuzah. Sigvein tzadikim even, which even they were a oirech in somebody else's house, they did not sleep, they didn't go into a house which didn't have mezuzah. Although they're not mechiv with mezuzah, they're not mechiv in the masker is not mechiv. The landlord is not mechiv. So the landlord is not mechiv to put a mezuzah, and you are not mechiv because you're not going to stay over there for 30 days. After we can, sigvein tzadikim. With his tight, they didn't want to go into a house which didn't have a mezuzah. So when is it mechiv b'mezuzah? A person is going into his house, let's say Tuesday, Yom Sheikhba B'Ketoiv, but they start putting in the stuff Friday before. Minig b'Chassidim, but some Chassidim, that they should move Dafka Friday. So Friday they put in stuff, they move in stuff, but actually they're going to move in on Tuesday, Yom Sheikhba B'Ketoiv. So when is the time that you have to put a mezuzah? Is it the time when you move in your stuff, or is the time when you move in actually? That means you're going to be there, you're moving in, you're here to stay. The same will also be a chosn. A chosn gets married, he has a date, the day of the chasana. Should he put the day of the chasana in the mezuzahs, or he could put the mezuzahs a few days before? Now, I'm not talking about if he is a soicher, so the first 30 days he's potter. In a case that he is mechiv, or it's his own house, or if he signed a contract, as we're going to see, which some poskim hold that, then you should right away put a mezuzah, even with a bracha. So when do you put it? Do you put it when you put in your stuff, or when actually moving in? Now, this is a big machloikes hachroinam. There are some which say that the chiyuv is right away when you basically put in stuff in their apartment, and then you should put in the mezuzah, and you shouldn't wait till you move in. The Mugavrum writes no, that you should. The Mugavrum is in Orachaim, Siman Yites. He writes that you should wait only when you move in. You're going to move in mamash. That means you're going to stay there or sleep there. Then you should put the mezuzah. The same question will also be for the 30 days. If a person wants, the first 30 days is potter. Now, from when do you start counting? Does he start counting from Friday, the 30 days, when he put in his stuff, he moved in his furniture, or does it start counting from his chasana, which is Tuesday, or when he moves in actually? So again, some poskim hold that you should do it. You should start counting from Friday, because then you use the chiv mezuzah. And the Mungavrum and other poskim hold no, only when you actually move in, then you should start counting. And l'maisa miniga oilam linyalucha is that you don't put it only when you move in mamash. That means only when you move in, you're going to sleep there, or you're going to eat there, or you mean with your family, then you should put in. So nagaya, if you make a bracha, for instance, according to the poskim which say only when you move in, then you can make, then is the chiv mezuzah. If you want to be machmad like the other poskim and put in a mezuzah when you're moving your stuff, basically you're gonna make a person purchased a house, yeah, and then to purchase a house, you make a bracha right away. There's no 30 days. Now he moves in his stuff on Friday, and actually he's going to move in on Tuesday. If he's going to put in Tuesday, a Friday, the mezuzah, he cannot make a bracha, because according to Avrom and other poskim, you can only make a bracha when he moves in actually. So therefore, the poskim say, and that's the minig oilam, that you put on mezuzahs the day when you move in, and not the day of your moving in your stuff. Now, a person moves in a house, and he has 5-bedroom apartment, but he's going to use only 2 bedrooms because he has only 2 children. So his room and the children's room, and the other 3 rooms he's not going to use. You know, he's going to move in. He's going to move in, maybe put in beds, furniture, but he's not going to use it. After the chiv mezuzah, once you move in your apartment, all the rooms which you are mishtamash, you have to put on mezuzah. Kemivan, as I mentioned before, if you don't have enough mezuzahs, you should put on first on the rooms which you use actually for your bedroom, your children's bedroom. But if you have mezuzahs, the chiyuv is right away in all the rooms which is chedrai habayis, which the balabos is a mishtamash. Now, although right away now, the next few days you're not going to be a mishtamash over there, after it became, the chiyuv is right away. But if a person rents out a room in a house, for instance, there's a person who rents out, he has a 5-bedroom apartment and rents out rooms. Yeah, one person rents out 1 room, so other person rents out other rooms. Since he rents out only 1 room, it's only his chiyuv. If the other room it's not his chiyuv, and he doesn't have to put a mezuzah because he only rented one. But if he has a whole apartment, the chiyuv is on the whole apartment, even though he doesn't use right away all the apartments. If a person is mechiber mezuzah in a house, and even though if he leaves for, let's say, 6 months, he's going to Eretz Yisrael, even though he's going out for a while, is mechiber mezuzah, is chayber mezuzah, even though if he doesn't live there. And it's no difference if he left for a couple of hours, or if he left a couple of years, or even if it comes a couple of months. Especially if he leaves his stuff inside, that means all the stuff is for sure he has his mechiber mezuzah, because not loy gurim ebayse oitza. But even if, let's say, he moves out his stuff for whatever reason, a tishra, he moves out for a tishra, and he rents it out for someone else without not furnished, even in such a case, zung the poiskem is still chiber mezuzah. And it's interesting, if you talk about this, Reb Kiva Eiger is not 100% clear in this. Reb Kiva Eiger has a shala that a person has a house and he moves out for, he leaves it for 6 months. So Reb Kiva Eiger, so such as that 6 months is not mechiber mezuzah. Now he comes back. Yeah, now it's still mechiber mezuzah, but he didn't took out the mezuzah. So Reb Eiger has a question, maybe he has to take down the mezuzahs and put it back again, because we have a halacha in Hilchos mezuzah that's halacha tase v'loy mina osu. That means if a person, you have to put on the mezuzah when it's mechiyev. If you put on the mezuzah on a thing which is not mechiyev, and then you became mechiyev, it's tase v'loy mina osu. For instance, a person that has a doorpost on the floor, he's building a new house, he has a pre-hung door, he knocks out the mezuzah when it's on the floor, and then he puts on the whole pre-hung doors on his house with the mezuzah included. So that mezuzah is nishvert, and is not become the mitzvah. You have to take down the mezuzah and put it back. Why? Because when you put on the mezuzah, you put it on a piece of wood. You didn't put it on a dailus, which is on the door. So therefore, it's bottom of mezuzah. And now, automatically, you're making the dailus together with the mezuzah, and that's a problem of tase v'loy minus. So the Kiva asks, maybe such a case also there's a problem of tase v'loy minus, because he's mechiber mezuzah first. Then he moves out for a couple of months. Then he is potim in the mezuzah. Then he comes back, he's a chayba mezuzah. So therefore, maybe you should take it down and have to put it up again. Lamasa, we don't pass as this b'chlal. Nobody does this. And b'chlal, we don't pass that when you move out, it is potim in mezuzah. And b'chlal, we pass that whenever you put on mezuzah and it's mechiyev, even though in the middle happens a case that it doesn't become 100% mechiyev, you don't have to take it down. For instance, a person has a room, a room all year round, he uses it. Now comes sukkahs, he takes over the roof and he uses it as a sukkah. We're going to see as a sukkah is not mechiyev mezuzah. So now this room is potim in a mezuzah because of diras arai potim in a mezuzah. And then after sukkahs, he puts back the roof. So you're going to say, also you have to take down the mezuzah and put it back. So we don't pass as this halacha, but at least we see, I want to bring it out just to see that Rabbi Kiva Eiger holds that if a person moves out of an apartment, goes away from an apartment for a specific amount of time, is put him in the mezuzah. But we don't pass like that. We hold that basically, even if you go 6 months, he's in the United States, 6 months in Israel, there are a lot of people like that, then still mechiber mezuzah, especially when he leaves all this stuff, which then loy gure von abayse oitzer, nes mechiber mezuzah. Och steht noch ne shichenurach, end of Simmerreich by high. If a person does not have money to buy mezuzah and tefillin, what should he do? Steht shichenurach that if he doesn't have enough money, he should buy a tefillin, not mezuzah. The reason is because tefillin is choyves aguf, therefore it's adifa. Masha einkan mezuzah is choyves habayis. But lamasa, the Avraham writes in Archaim Simalam Ches that was always in that time they used to wear tefillin all day. So if he doesn't have a pair of tefillin, basically in Mavat La Mitzvah, so therefore he should buy a tefillin and not a mezuzah, because mezuzah is choyves hadar, choyves habayis, and this choyves haguf. But nowadays that we don't sit with the mezuzah with the tefillin all day, we only put it on for shachras. Since a person has the opportunity and has the option to ask a friend to lend him his tefillin, so therefore So he's not mavatal the mitzvah because he will still have the mezuzah tefillin from a friend. Limazeh mezuzah, if he doesn't have a mezuzah, he's mavatal the mitzvah. So nowadays, mezuzah comes first because you could ask, you could borrow a tefillin. Now the poskim have all shmis if you cannot borrow on a daily basis. You know, you might not find one day that you should have tefillin. If in such a case tefillin comes before or no, since mezuzah is bevatel the mitzvah and tefillin is a sofek. If in such a case you should buy mezuzah, but again it's not. I'm not going to delve into it because it's the guy it's ifel amaisa. Because Baruch Hashem we have all tefillin and we mentioned all have mezuzahs. But just go through because we learn Shichnurach. Good. So where are you putting in a mezuzah? Zug the Shichnurach that you have to put the mezuzah betefach hachitzen shel haPesach. You have to put it on the tefach, the outdoor from the post. For instance, a person has a doorpost which is 8 inches or 10 inches or 12 inches. In all the houses, it's much even wider, which is wide, the whole doorpost. You put it betefach hasuver mechitz. And the reason is because of the two reasons which we mentioned in the beginning, why you need to put the mezuzah. One reason is you should constantly see Achdus Hashem. So therefore Chazal wanted that right away when you walk into the house, you should right away bump into the mezuzah, and therefore you have to put it right away outside. And the other reason is because since it is a shmira, we want every inch of the house to be short nishmer. So if you put it in the middle of the doorpost or the end of the doorpost, the outside of the doorpost is not nishmer. It doesn't get secured. Masha Einken aber, if you put it right away outside, but the whole house is getting nishmer fin mazika, and therefore you have to put it the tefach sumenachitz. Just to mention, it's not ma'akav. There are some haluchas which you're going to see. If you put it very low, less than a shlish of the doorpost, it's ma'akav. It's kili you didn't put a mezuzah. But when it comes to tefach sumenachitz, if a person did not put it tefach sumenachitz, he put it in middle or even the end of the doorpost, it's not ma'akav but the evet, and it's kusher mezuzah. Shtayt vater in Shichnurach. The Remu brings it down b'shem the Meril that when a person goes out from his house, he should put his hand on the mezuzah and he should say Hashem yishper tzaisi v'yechu. And the same is also when he comes into the house, he should put on his hand on the mezuzah. Yeah, and in the Shluach Kudish that you should do it also before you go to sleep. Now, if you see the Lashon of the Shulchan Aruch, yeah, it says Yaniach Yudoi. That's the Lashon. Yesh Omrim she'udem yoytzim min habayis, Yaniach Yudoi ala mezuzah. That's from the Meril. It doesn't say a word that you should kiss it. The Indian of kissing the mezuzah steht in Arizal. And Arizal writes that he used to put his hand on the mezuzah and he used to put the middle fingers. He used to put on the mezuzah and he used to kiss it. And the reason is chiv mitzvah, because he gewollt vasen, he had a chiv mitzvah mezuzah, and therefore he was kissing it. But in Shulchan Aruch shtayt you should kiss it, and that's why we see tzaddikim ibarosham our Rebbe, the Rebbe never kissed the mezuzah. He always saw he put the hand on the mezuzah and didn't kiss it. As a matter of fact, the Rebbe didn't kiss even the Sefer Torah or the paroiches. He used to come into davening and going out of davening, he used to touch the paroiches. Never saw it kissing it. The only time when we saw the Rebbe kissed was the tefillin. Yeah, when he made Psayches Yidechu. But otherwise, when he used to touch the mezuzah or the paroiches or a Sefer Torah, he used to touch it. As the Remu brings from the Maril, touch it. It's only a Arizal, and that's the Benigo Oilam, that you touch it and you kiss it. Kemiven, as steht the poiskim that it's kedai that if a person comes out from the men's room, from the toilet, Yidayim Tamayas, that he should not touch the mezuzah in that case, as on kiss the mezuzah. As steht in the Achronim. Now, a mezuzah does not have to be yours. If a person borrows a mezuzah or he rents a mezuzah, as today's day, there's a lot of stores, swarm stores or stam stores, which rent mezuzahs, till you check it or till you have your own mezuzahs. Is mayoitza, it doesn't have to be lechem. Yoitza dachavusa. If it's a gezela, if you stole a mezuzah, that's something else. That's a mitzvah b'avayda. But if it is sheila, it's not a problem. And mizyoitza, the mitzvah, which on a bar mezuzah. A person has to be vigilant that should not do dvorim, which is a bezoin in front of a mezuzah. The mezuzah is kodesh, and therefore you have to be zoyer and kedushas of a mezuzah, and therefore that's one of the reasons we're going to see soon that you don't put on a mezuzah on a bathroom or on a mikveh, on a room where you wash. You take showers, all these things, even if it's not a bathroom, just a room which you have a shower, or we're going to see a swimming pool, all these things we don't put in because you don't want to do dvorim which bring the mezuzah l'dai bezoin. And therefore, if a person lives in a place which there are non-Jews which have a minig, which used to be a popular minig once when I was a child already, we had this problem. They used to come, goyim, and rip off mezuzahs from people's houses. That's not a reason, by the way, not to put on mezuzah. It's a reason that you should make a hole in the Pesach of the mashkav and a mezuzah and push it inside lock it up. That means although you're not going to see it, but at least you can have a mezuzah. If it is about a time that you are afraid that the goyim will rip it off and do a mezoyan, then in such a case, you shouldn't put a mezuzah. If it is an epidemic that they keep on going around, schlepping off mezuzahs, and even if you drill it in or put it in, they're going to tear it out. In such a case, steigt in the poiskem, sich shash bezoyen, then you're potter, you shouldn't put it. But if it's not such a case, you could put it in and drill it in a hole into the mezuzah, you should put it inside. Now, the same will go also to things that you have to make sure that you put a mezuzah properly in order you shouldn't get the bezoin by rain, by sun, and therefore you have to make sure to have outdoor mezuzahs. They should have waterproof, and they should have it should be protected from the sun. All these things because you have to be zuhr on conditions of the mezuzah, and you have to make sure that there's no heta that you shouldn't put because it's going to become niskalkel, because you have to make sure it should be. There's one of the achronim, I don't remember the name, which I saw. One of the achronim writes that if a person doesn't protect it and the mezuzah gets damaged even twice a day, he has to put on no mezuzahs every 3 hours. You have to make sure protect the mezuzah, shouldn't become l'dai bezoyen, and nish sich pattern because it's going to become mekilkel, damaged. Okay, so now let's see what's doing Reish Pevov. Reish Pevov, which houses bekoimus which mechiv b'mezuzah? We know the pasuk says, "Uchsaftam al mezuzahs by sechu evisharechu." That means you are mechiv to put mezuzah and bavaisechu on a house. A house means a house which is livable. A house means which is rui ladira. Has to be rui ladira. Therefore, you have to put a house on a mezuzah on a house, which could be rui ladira, and we're going to go through a lot of scenarios which is not rui ladira, and therefore you're not mechib mezuzah. Also steht in Pusik, ich safte mal mezuzah basechu evisharechu. That means also shara chatzayres and shara medinas. Shara chatzayres means if you have in the back of your house, you have a place which you use, backyard, and going into the backyard, you have a gate which has 2 mezuzahs and a mashkoif, a nice, beautiful, iron gate. You have to put a mezuzah, since it is a chotzer which you use, and therefore it is mechiev you put over there a mezuzah. And this is what the Torah says, Visharech. Or if you have a Medina, for instance, in Ishmael, the old city, which basically the whole city is surrounded with a choima, or if you have the same thing somewhere else too, has a choima, and there's a shar which people come in and out, that shar needs to have a mezuzah, the same as it is your house. Okay, now let's make a Gdoma. There are a lot of machloikes and hilchos mezuzah. Very much. Almost in every halacha, I wouldn't say every, but a lot of halachas we're going to see, there's a machloikes hapoiskim. If you put a mezuzah, you mechiv to put, or you're not mechiv to put. The klal is the poiskim right. Whenever you have a machloikes, some poiskim hold you mechiv, some poiskim hold you not mechiv. The halacha is you should put a mezuzah, because according to some poiskim you're mechiv. But you cannot make a bracha, because suffer brachas local. So whenever we're going to talk, we have a suffix if you need to put a mezuzah or not, or we have a machlokas if you need to put a mezuzah, and we pass you should put a mezuzah. We have to realize and remember, it means in such a case, put a mezuzah, but without a bracha. Because since there are some poskim say that we are not machim a mezuzah, you should make sure you kvaya mezuzah, but you cannot make a bracha. So what you do in such a case, you're going to go through your house. I'm promising you. You go through your house, 50% of the mezuzahs is not going to be according to all the poskim. Maybe you're going to have 50%, which is going to be according to all the poskim, but at least 50 is not going to be. I would even say it's probably more than 50%. You're not going to have the holodayas. So therefore, before a person starts putting out mezuzahs on his house, he should go through the whole house, and he should see a room, a door which is 100% mechiba mezuzah holodayas, and then he should put the mezuzah, make a bracha, and then right away, without making a hefsek, put on the other mezuzah. So therefore, the bracha will go on all the rooms, and it's not a bracha levatula. And then, you that you made also a mezuzah and you made a bracha. Again, if you don't have such a thing, you have to put on a mezuzah on a door which is a machlokas, and it's the only one mezuzah you have to do. You're going to put it without a mezuzah, without a bracha. I'm sorry, you're going to put a mezuzah without a bracha. But whenever you put on a couple of mezuzahs, and one mezuzah is 100% according to the Chala Poiskim, then you are going to make that first, and you should make the bracha and put on other mezuzahs. And it's kedai to go through first looking, because a lot of times a person is excited, he has a new house, puts on mezuzah, and he's going to put on the front door the mezuzah and make a bracha. Not necessarily the front door is mechiba mezuzah chalodais. As we're going to see, if you're going into a small hallway and which doesn't go to a bigger room, there are some ways which basically and the front door is not put mechiba mezuzah chalodais. So therefore, don't get excited in putting on a nice big mezuzah which you got from your shver and shviger, which is the big one outdoors. Don't put it on the first, because you might not be mechiba mezuzah over there the chalodais. We mentioned before that shara chatzayres you have to put a mezuzah, and that's what the Torah says the visharech. Shara chatzayres means a chotzer which you have ishtamshus, a backyard, a front yard, something like that. But if a person has a gina, that means the back of his house, some people who live in rural areas, which they have a plantation and all these kind of things, have a gina, which is surrounded by gates and a mechitza and a mashkov. That's not called a chutza, that's called a gina, and a gina is potem and a mezuzah. And so we have to realize what we say when we say shara chotza means a chotza which has to do with the ishtamshus. A gina is not rule dira. A chotza is rule dira. You're sitting out, you have over there stuff, so therefore mechiba mezuzah. But a gina is not rule dira, and as I mentioned before, bais means rule dira. Anything which is not bais, k'moy bais, is not mechiba mezuzah. So Shechanor Shtayt, Reifes Buker, Lulim shel tarnagoylem, ja, zijn machie bij mezuzah. Er staat in Shichnoch, Revens Boeker, ja. Although we don't live over there, it's a place with the animals, the stable with your animals, the farm, whatever, it's back of your house, one of the rooms, which basically you don't live there. But the person can say, since it is a part of your house, it's part of your bayis dira, is therefore, Revens Boeker is auch machir b'mezuzah. Now, today's day, the poskim write that stables or farms or a place which you have cows or sheep, it's not machir b'mezuzah because there's zaham over there. Zahama means there's a lot of smell, the stink over there. They make all their whatever they need to do, and therefore, bisman hazeh, if a person has a farm in back of his house, if he lives in Lancaster or whatever, in the Pennsylvania, somewhere in the Poconos, and he has a stable or he has a farm or he has in back of his house animals, that room which the animals are, or he has chickens, a lot of chickens which give out smell and all things, it's not machir b'mezuzah. Bais isha is b'machir b'mezuzah. What is it, bais isha? That means today's day, there's no such thing. A husband and wife live together. But if, for instance, once upon a time, they used to have separate houses. The Noshim had a separate house, and they used to sit over there and even sleep and do cook, whatever they do. And the man had a separate house. Or maybe even today's day, Rahman al-Islam, a person who doesn't have a husband, a grusha, a almana, is ook machir b'mezuzah. And the chiddush defin is, because we would say, it says by secha, so we would gewin by secha, but by sa. Also we can't meinen. So therefore, it's potem b'mezuzah, because the Torah says, exaftam b'mezuzah by secha, that's Lushan Zocher. So maybe only by sa Zocher, not by sa Isha. So the Gemara know it's machir b'mezuzah because it says למען ירבי ימייכם, v'may v'naychem, because since the mezuzah is a object which brings also arichas yomim, and since women also need arichas yomim, so therefore they are also machir b'mezuzah. Chayder from a child, chayder shel yeludim, or a chayder, a room, which a children's room, or a room where basically the goitas, the maids, are living, is beikar adin potem en hamezuzah. Now, again, if it's in your house, one of the rooms is dedicated for a child, kamivan, that's not potem en hamezuzah, that's part of your house, and it's your ishtamshus. So avad is machir b'mezuzah. And the same will also go if it's a room which the goyim are living, the what is it called, the goita, the maid, the goyisha maid lives there, and it's a part of your apartment. Avada, that's highly of your ishtamshus. It's your ishtamshus is to have a room which you give for children, you give for goitas. Avada machir b'mezuzah. The thing which the poskim say as potem b'mezuzah means if you have a separate room or a separate house, especially for children, or you have a back house, back of your house, you have a small, so to speak, apartment, which is especially dedicated for the goitas, for the butlers, for the arailas. Such a case is nish machir b'mezuzah. But of course, if it's in your house, avad machir b'mezuzah. Now, shtayt with the poskam as meshimchenech, you should put on a children's room, even if you have a separate room. Because as we know, so now this halacha is negaya also today's day, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Because in a camp, if you have a camp, a dormitory, which a boys' bungalow or girls' bungalow, which the whole bungalow is only children on the bas mitzvah or on the bar mitzvah, mitzad halucha, rein halucha, you are part of a mezuzah, because that's chayder of ketanim. The same is also if you have a bungalow, which the whole bungalow is dedicated only for goyim, the cleaning staff, it's potem and a mezuzah. Now in the children's bungalow, you should be mitam chenach, mechir b'mezuzah midrabon mitam chenach. But the guys' bungalow, you have no chiyuv, although you own the whole camp and you own that bungalow, since it's dedicated for them to live and they have a separate room, it is potem min hamezuzah. a house which you have a shitfus, you and your friend own a house and both live in that house. So baisa shitfus is mechiber mezuzah, and both have to pay for the mezuzah of the tzuza mezuzah. Now, if they have separate apartments, everybody is mechiv to put on his apartment, and they're shitfum only on the common area, on the hallways. Then they have to pitch in for a mezuzah, and everybody should put on his door. But if there are shitfus in one room, both are mechiv to pay for the mezuzah, and sachiv on both to have a mezuzah. But that's only if it is two Jews, two Yidden are shitfum. What is if a Yid and a Goy are shitfum in a house? That means they're in one apartment or even roommates. Such a case is potem in a mezuzah. The same is also shara chatzayres, shara yuras, which we mentioned before, that it is bechiba mezuzah, which in our practical time, what does it mean? Shara chatzayres, shara ayuras, which bechiba mezuzah could be a bungalow colony. If you have a bungalow colony, which there's a lot of bungalows and all are Yiddish bungalows, and it has a mezuzah and a mashkav, we are mechiv to put on a mezuzah on the shar of going into the bungalow colony, and everybody has to pitch in. But if you have goyim, which they own apartment in that bungalow colony or in a closed gated community, and therefore such a case is the room which the Yid and the Goy are together are put them in the mezuzah according to some poskim. Other poskim want to say no, even if it is a Yid with the Goy b'shitfus, then you are not, there are mechiv b'mezuzah. So since we have a machloikas, as I mentioned before, you should put a mezuzah and not make a bracha. If it's you and your friend a shitfus in an apartment, two Yidden, you make a bracha. And anyone could put on, it doesn't have to have permission from the second guy, he can put on and make a bracha. But if it's two a Yid and a Goy, since we have a machloikas, if you mechiv b'mezuzah, some poskim will say you're not mechiv b'mezuzah because it's shichanol shtayt, that they put him in a mezuzah because it's askona. They used to say, the Goy used to say that when you're putting on a mezuzah, it has something to do with kishaf, or we are afraid they can do it some bezoin, so therefore it's put him in a mezuzah. So you don't have to put a mezuzah, but nowadays there's not a problem of kishaf, but I can put them if it's in such a case that it is not. You have a Goy, the Yid living in an apartment. Since according to some poskim, it's a petor. Since a Yid a Goy lives there, it's a petor, so you cannot put on a mezuzah with a bracha.
Even though the fear of kishaf is not anymore.
No, we don't have. But the poskim will say, since Chazal gave us reasons not to put in such a case, other poskim say no. It is only if you have a reason. If you don't have the reason, you should put, and therefore you mechiv b'mezuzah. Storage. Shechanol shtayt that one of the things which you mentioned, Sif Aleph, Reish Payvov Sif Aleph, says Baisa Oitzer, which means a storage. Storage means a place which you storage stuff which is mishamash the person. That means it is a stock room, a locker room, which you go in from time to time to take food, to take pyres, to take baisa aitzim, which is baisa tev, and all these things are, even though he doesn't eat there, he doesn't sleep there, and that, so to speak, we would say it's not considered baischu, because baischu means a person which a person eats and sleeps. It is bechlal tashmisha adira, because a person in an apartment has to have a room which is storages, all kinds of things which he has to go in constantly to take, a big pantry. So therefore it's mechiv b'mezuzah. That's called by mezuzah. Now, even though he's not going to step into the storage room, never, he's going to send his servant, he's going to send his goiter, his janitor should go in. But since it is a part of his apartment and it's his baisa oitzer, is mechiv b'mezuzah, and you can make a bracha ochet. Now, the Rambam paskins that a baisa oitzer you don't make a bracha. I'm sorry, it's potem in a mezuzah. So since we made a klal before that whenever you have a machlokes apoiskim, then you should not make a bracha. You should put on or not make a bracha. So why do we say in a sword you can make a bracha? So the Achronim say that since the Shittas Rambam was not even brought by the Mechaber ignores it totally, the Mechaber ignores it totally, is because they're passing opposite of the Rambam, they're passing mamash direct. And in such a case, you can make a bracha only when it's a Machloik's Achronim, which we pass, the Gdoli Achronim, which we pass, or the Mechaber brings two Shittas, or the Shach, the Rezuov, or then we say don't make a bracha, the Gdoli Achronim. Aber a shitta which the Mechaber Remu ignores totally, the poskim say you could make a bracha. Even if a person does not want to make a bracha, I must chichem beyuda because of the there is shittas Rambam that is potif and mezuzah. Now, this is only a storage where the person goes in from there constantly. That means from time to time. If a person has a storage which he doesn't go there, he only storages, let's say before Pesach, sheds, or a person has a attic, which he doesn't go over there. For Pesach, he storages the Pesach stuff and he brings it down before Pesach and puts it back after Pesach, or he storages over there his sukkah before Sukkot and puts it back after Sukkot, but all the year round he doesn't use it. This is not called a Beis Oitzer, and this is potem and a mezuzah b'chlal. The same will also be at boiler room. If a person does not use his boiler room constantly, it's only, is over there and he doesn't put his stuff, or to storage it once in a blue moon. Such a case, it is considered, it's not considered by the same is also the Achronim, Ravozen with other poskim, right? A miklat in Etzisrol, there is a bunker, which basically you don't use. Some bunkers you use for storage, but if you have bunkers which you don't use, it's only used when the Chmon al Islam, there is a Machoma, there is a siren, azaka, you run down. In such a case, the miklat is not mechib b'mezuzah. Again, if you still use it during the year, which a lot of miklatim is used constantly over there, and in such a case, you are mechib b'mezuzah. A garage is mechib b'mezuzah, and we're going to see soon where, what, when. But a car garage, is mechib b'mezuzah. Now, in poskim, right, that since the Torah says ichsaftim al mezuzahs by secha, has to be a bayis vos is miyichid ledira, and it has to be bayis shel kovet, has to be a kovedige house. So therefore, a place, a house, a room which is not bechovet, you don't put a mezuzah. Therefore, you don't put a mezuzah on a toilet door. Although the door opens inside, going on inside, so therefore the mezuzah will always be outside. Even though you don't put a mezuzah. Why? Because the whole room is potem and a mezuzah. It's not because we are a problem that when you open the door, the mezuzah is going to be inside. The problem is the room be'etzam, since a room which is not derech kovet, the room itself is basically a room shel bezoyen, room sh'ayre shel kovet. In B'mayr, it's not mechib b'mezuzah. The same will go a room which has a shower, a room which has a bathtub, a room which has a swimming pool, a mikveh. All these things is potem and a mezuzah. And I want to stress it because last time when I gave such a shiur, somebody told me that he has in his bedroom, they have a bedroom probably which is as big as my whole house, and there's on one corner there's a big bathtub, which are a big jacuzzi which they use. So they want to know because as we're going to see, buys a bedroom is mechib b'mezuzah, even a buys which the husband and wife are together. You have to cover it. You have to do other things we're going to see, but basically it's mechib b'mezuzah. You have to cover it. But if it has a jacuzzi in the room, which I never heard such a thing that in a bedroom should be a jacuzzi, but okay, today's day you don't ask questions on what's the designer in Paris decided, because he's the godfather. So the answer is you're not mechib b'mezuzah, since he is basically a bayish ayin shel kuvat. People are undressed in a jacuzzi or even in a bathing suit. It's still considered ayin shel kuvat, and it's potem mezuzah. Now, when it comes to a room which the husband and wife sleep together and they have tashmish, it's mechib b'mezuzah. Now, if the mezuzah is outdoors, you don't have to do anything. which most of the rooms will be like that, the mezuzah will be outdoors. But if it is such a case that the mezuzah is indoors, I'm sorry, the mezuzah is in the room, not outdoors. The mezuzah is in the room. Most of the time, the mezuzah, the doors open inward, so therefore the mezuzah is outdoors. But if it is such a case which the mezuzah opens towards the out, and so therefore the mezuzah is inside, so then you have to cover the mezuzah with shnei kisiyam. You have to cover it with shnei kisiyam. That means 2 covers, and one of them should not be a cover which is made for. So therefore, if you have a mezuzah which you cover it with a wax paper or whatever other paper you will cover it, and then you put it into a mezuzah halter, the holder of the mezuzah is not considered shnei kisiyam because they are both made for the mezuzah. You should have one which is not made for that, a piece of plastic or a piece of material which you put on top whenever you want to cover it. Or you have, I saw a patent that a person has a smaller mezuzah and he puts on a nice big, the nice fancy mezuzah holders on top of the small mezuzah holder. That's all considered shnei kisiyam, and that should be the lektchila di gezach. If a person does not, it's impossible. He doesn't have whatever, he's in a guest or whatever it should be, he doesn't have 2 kisiyam. According to the Alter Rebbe is Michael in Arachayim. Alter Rebbe is Michael that it's enough also with 1 kisi, especially if it's higher than 10 tefachim. So therefore, beles breire, if it's such a case, it's enough to have 1 kisi too. But like tchila, kemiven, you should have shnei kisiyam. The Alter Rebbe Siman, by the way, Sif High, over there it writes there that you should 1 kisi is also enough. And the person can say that like you should try to have 2 kisiyam. If not, 1 kisi is also enough.
If it's just 1 kisi, does it have to be one that is not designed for the mezuzah, or even if it's a regular case?
One should be designed. No, it has to be not designed for the mezuzah. Not designed for the mezuzah. Mm-hmm. Because if it's designed for the mezuzah, then that's not a kisi, so to speak. But Alter Rebbe writes that if you cover the shem, that means if you, in such a case, first of all, you shouldn't have a see-through mezuzah. If it's not see-through, you have another sibba of to be Michael, and therefore you can leave it even with the same mezuzah halter. Because Alter Rebbe writes that if it's mechisa and you cannot see it, then it's enough kisi echet. So therefore, if you cover the shem, and if you have a mezuzah holder which is not see-through, then you don't need to do anything. If you don't have another option. Like tchila kemiven again, the poskim writes that you should have 2 kisiyam, and this is how the minig oilam, you try to have something to cover it up, like tchila, if you can. Now, when you have 2 kisiyam, 1 kisi could be one which is specific for the mezuzah. It's only the second one shouldn't be. Okay, now the same thing is, as I mentioned before, a merchetz, potem on a mezuzah, a room which has a incinerator or a compactor which has a smell, and it's a bezon, garbage over there, is also potem on a mezuzah. And you shouldn't put all these places which are mentioned, a beskissa or a besa merchetz, even if you cover it, because it's potem ba'etzef and a mezuzah. The outdoor of a mikveh, the room which is the hallway, so to speak, and it's not a place which people sit undressed, and it's not a place which the heat comes out, because if there is ziyahama, that's also a problem, a sibah to pata to put a mezuzah. In such a case, is mechiyah mezuzah. Although there are some places which want to say a mikveh, even the room before which the lady sits or the man sits, which collects the money, that room should also be put in a mezuzah, because the whole ishtamshus of this room is for the mikveh. It says the mikveh is put in a mezuzah, that should also be put in a mezuzah. But the klal lamaisa, we are putting up a mezuzah kemiv without a bracha in such a cases, and that's why all the mikvahs, the big nice mikvahs, the outdoors till the room which people start getting undressed, it is put them they have a mezuzah. A washroom in front of a beis hakisai. Yeah, most today's day, a lot of rooms, especially in bedrooms, they make today's day that you're going in first to a washroom. Over here you have a cabinet and a medicine chest, a sink, and then you're going into the room which is the beis hakisai, the toilet. Yeah. So what is the din of this? Is it a beis shar mezuzah or not? Now, the pashtas, if it doesn't have dalat al dalat, as we're gonna see, so the only reason why you should be mechiv to put a mezuzah in a small room which doesn't have dalat al dalat is only if it's a beis shar to a room which is mechiv mezuzah. But this, since it's a beis shar to a toilet, the toilet pot mezuzah, it is also pot min hamazuzah. But if it has dalat al dalat, a lot of poskim, the Chiva Meyahava, the Chivas Van Hugas, the Osnidbri, with other poskim, they want to say that in such a case, it's not considered. It's not considered, since they have dalat dalat. It's not considered a beis shar, and the room itself is mechiv mezuzah, and especially if it has a cabinet which you have all kind of medications or medications, vitamins, toothpaste, toothbrush, all these things. Then, in such a case, is avada and avada, especially if it has a shear of dalat dalat. Then, in such a case, you should put a mezuzah because it is a room b'fnei atzmo. It's not a beis shar for a beskisa, for a toilet. It is a room mitzvah atzmo and it has the shear, and you could put a mezuzah. Now, sometimes you have in a bedroom, a master bedroom, it's a lot. You're going into a small hallway, small room, which on the left side you're going into the toilet, on the right side you're going into a walk-in closet, for instance, or to a closet, whatever. What is the halacha in such a case? It doesn't have the shear, so it's not a beis shar. By shears b'dalat dalat. It's not. I'm sorry. It doesn't have a shear, so it's not a mechiv mitzad atzmoi. It is only mitzad the beis shar. So basically, as we mentioned before, it should be potem and mezuzah. Now, if the walk-in closet is a closet which is dalat al dalat, so this hallway is a beis shar for the walk-in closet. It's not only a beis shar for the toilet, which is potem. It is also a beis shar of the walk-in closet, which walk-in closet has dalat al dalat, and that's a beis shar to that. In such a case, you should put a mezuzah because that's a beis shar. Now, even if it is a case that it doesn't have dalat dalat, and if it's going into a big room, for instance, it's not going into a hallway. Some apartments they have you have a hallway, and the hallway takes you into a small room, which is a beis shar for the toilet. In such a case, it's not going to apply what I'm going to say now. But I'm talking a master bedroom. Sometimes you're going into a small room, which that room goes into a toilet, and it doesn't have the shear. So we mentioned you don't have to put a mezuzah because it is a beis shar for a toilet. But there's an interesting which a lot of poskim go with it. A lot of poskim disagree, by the way, but a lot of poskim agree with it. He wants to be machadash. In such a case, we consider that small room as if it doesn't have walls at all, and as if it is a pathway coming from the street into this big room. It is as if it comes in from the street into the master bedroom. So therefore, it should be mechiv mezuzah, but not going into that beis shar. It should be mechiv mezuzah the opposite way, coming from the beis shar, from that small room into the big room. Because it is as if that this room, the beis shar, is a doorpost from the street, which is going into the big room. Now, a lot of poskim bring down this. Some agree, some disagree. It can be mechayiv anyone to put such a thing, but I always say, in such a case, Yerushalayim, kedai to put, Fratz is Ashmira. I have two places such a scenario in my house, and I put mezuzahs, and in such a case, you put it in, going into the big room. Now, if it's going into a walk-in closet which has dalat, kemiven, you have to put it into the way going into the walk-in closet. Because then it's a beis shar for the walk-in closet. If it doesn't have a walk-in closet, it's only a small room going into a toilet, which mitzad by shar it's potter, but if it goes into a big room, then according to the Kiva Eiger, you put it in the way going into that big room. A washroom. Person has a washroom. The poskim once used to write that in a washroom, a laundry room, and I mean a laundry room, not we call a washroom, whatever, a laundry room. They used to write that in a laundry room you should not put a mezuzah, and the reason was that because there used to be such a thing as pampers. I still remember it, but I don't think any one of you will remember such a thing. The children used to wear pampers, and the pampers, if they made it dirty, it was basically a besekisa, and you have to wash it. You didn't throw it in the garbage like today's day. You take a pamper, throw it in the garbage. So basically, you washed it. So the room was basically a mokum zahama, a mokum dirt, and therefore you shouldn't make, even if it has dalat, you shouldn't put a mezuzah. But today's day, the poskim write a laundry room, if it is not in such a case that it is over there constantly dirty diapers or open, exposed, and which we don't have usually because today's day we have pampers, you throw it in the garbage. And even if a child made wet or even made, and it leaked through his pants and it's dirty, usually you have a damper, which over there you put in. It's usually not exposed front from the mezuzah. It's usually in a drawer, or it's in a hamper. Hamper. In a hamper, you put it inside, and therefore it's not exposed. So today's day, the poskim will say like this: if you have dalat al dalat, you should put it is mechiv mezuzah. If it doesn't have dalat al dalat, then basically doesn't have the sheet, it's potem and a mezuzah. Now, if a person has a dalat al dalat and he has cabinets, built-in cabinets, such a case, we're going to see down the road that's not so posh that it's considered dalat. The cabinets might take away, built-in cabinets might take away the from the shear of dalat al dalat, 4x4, and therefore we're going to see soon. But if a person has a nice big laundry room that it is dalat al dalat, that means the size of which is mechiv mezuzah. Today's day we are asking that you should put on a mezuzah on a laundry room. A kitchen, even a commercial kitchen, which is all kind of food and heat from the pots, all these things. That means a slaughterhouse. That's your pot because that's the smell. There's a rayach from the animals, and that room is potem and mezuzah. But again, if there's a room which is not affiliated with that room, that means a room which the shochtem are, the manakrim are, or where they slice up the animal, all the rooms are mechim mezuzah. The only question is the room which you shecht mamash, of this, the poskim say that's potem and mezuzah. Well, we say before that whenever you have a room which is inyan of bezoyan, and therefore it's potem and mezuzah because it's a bezoyan, that's only if it's a thing which is bekviyas. But if it is a thing which is not bekviyas, therefore you don't have to. You should put a mezuzah. That's the reason why we said before in a laundry room. Although you might have over there children dirty clothing which they made in it, and it stinks and it smells, but since even if it's exposed and you don't put it in the hamper, and it's going to be exposed, since it's only bakroa, therefore in such a case is bechir b'mezuzah only when it's bakvizdige inyan. But for instance, if a person puts in the potty for the child, when he trains the child, puts it in his laundry room. Some people have a small toilet and they will keep it in the laundry room. Even in such a case, it is considered, as long as you train the child, which could be even weeks or even more, it is considered a beis hakisa. In such a case, it's not mechiv mezuzah, except if you will have the mezuzah, you should at least cover it up, that it shouldn't be exposed, especially to the Shem Havaya, and you should cover it up. Bachlal has to be, a mezuzah has to be open. It is only when you have a reason to cover it up, you cover it up. A mezuzah has to be that you come in, you should see it, and therefore the minig Chabad is that you have the mezuzah holder should be see-through. Yeah, you have from glass or even from lucite, because we want you should see the Shin al-Adid. We should see it because that's the mitzvah. Like it chila that if it's not a place where there is a problem mazoin, it is you should have it exposed. The mezuzah. Okay, so now the Sheikh Nur writes weiter Sivov Aksadra Potem in a mezuzah. What is Aksadra? Aksadra is a room which has 3 walls and a ceiling, a roof. How shall I say it? Like a bus stop, you know, a bus station has 3 walls and a top. Such a case, it is potem in a mezuzah. Although it has mezuzahs and a mashkaf, that means the 2 sides there are 2 like some kind of beams in the 2 corners, or even in the middle there are beams on the 4th side, which on top the roof is, but that's not made for a wall. That's made basically that's not made for mezuzah. It has to be mezuzahs by seichel. It has to be mezuzahs, 2 doorposts. Since it's not made for a doorpost, it's made only a beam that it should hold the roof. It's bottom in a mezuzah. Practically, what is it? Practically, is going to be a lot of people have in front of their house a overhang, I think it's called. That means your car goes underneath. That when basically you come from grocery or you come shopping, that in it's raining, you don't get wet. So you have a big platform, a big roof, and has walls. Even if it has 3 walls, but since it has a 4th by the corner has 2 beams, then it's not mechiber mezuzah, because the beams are not made for mezuzah. It's not called a mezuzah. It is made basically to hold the roof, and therefore it is potem in a mezuzah. But if you have a room which has 4 walls, kemivan in such a case, and that you have to have a door going in, is mechiber mezuzah. Although you might have a sunroom which all the windows are basically all the walls are basically windows, but sof kol sof, since you have mechitzas which is 10 tefachim high, which that's the shear of a mechitza, how tall it should be. Since you have mechitzas of 10 tefachim all around, although all over is windows, it is b'mechiber mezuzah. When we mentioned before, whenever it's made for beams, it's not mechiber mezuzah. There are some houses, or basically it's more stores. You could see it by stores or commercial, that you have an overhang and you have beams every couple of feet. You have arches. Now, if the arches is like made, the only way where you go in, it's made basically the doorways. There's a place where the doorway people go in. All the things is only made to keep the archway. In such a case, all the arches are mechiber mezuzah. If it is made that you should be able to go in this proizder with all the arches, then all the arches is a pesach mechiber mezuzah. But if it's made only because you have to have overhang, you have to have beams, since it is not made for a mezuzah, it's only lachzike tikra, the Rosh Hashanah lachzike tikra. Therefore, it is not considered a mezuzah, a doorpost, and it's potem in a mezuzah.
Aberlanda.
Yeah.
The selbe word is when very typical these fancy buildings have beams. La yoifi. Yoifi is correct. Is also nach het sadelptor.
Yoifi is ook the sadelptor.
Yeah.
It's not made to go in. It's only made for design. It's the same thing. Yes. Now, when you say it has walls and it has a ceiling, then it is considered a mezuzah and a mashkoif. And mechiber mezuzah. Now, even if the as I mentioned before, even if the mezuzah, the wall is only 10 feet high, and the roof could be 15 feet. That means the wall is 10 tefachim, and the ceiling, the mezuzah, is all the way high. That means you have a room which the doorpost is 10 tefachim high, and the mashkev is right above, but it's way up. It's 10 feet on top. So it doesn't lay, the mashkev does not have to stay right on top of the mezuzahs. As long as the mezuzahs and the mashkev are parallel, the mezuzahs are under the mashkev, then it is considered a tziras ha-pesach and mesechim b'mezuzah, if it has 10 tefachim. Why do I stress it so much? Because today's day, there's a lot of such scenarios. There are scenarios like this, especially by kitchens. You have a room, which on the left side, you have a mezuzah, you have a mashke on top, and the right side, you have a cabinet, a counter. The countertop is, I would say 6 feet high. It is over 10 tefachim high. So in such a case, the mezuzah, you have over here 2 mezuzahs and a mashkef. Because the 2 mezuzahs are right parallel under the mashkef, and you have a wall which is 10 tefachim, and it's mechim mezuzah. Now, where are you going to put the mezuzah? Some people are going to put the mezuzah all the way by the other side, so to speak, because the room basically is 10 feet wide. Yeah. So that's basically the mashkef they're going to say. But it's not true, because there's counters over there. And by the doorpost, when you go into the kitchen, there is only a counter which is over 10 tefachim high. So since you have a wall which is 10 tefachim high, that is considered the mezuzah, and you have to put the mezuzah where? On the counter. It might look funny, might look very funny, but you have to put it on the cabinet, because the cabinet is considered the wall, and the mezuzah, it's on the right side. So you have to put the mezuzah on the right side, as we're going to learn. So therefore, you have to put it on the mezuzah, which is only 10 tefachim high, and over there you put the mezuzah. It might be very funny, but that's the halacha, how you got to put it, because a mezuzah, as long as it's 10 tefachim high, and even if it doesn't reach the mashkav, since it is right on, if it's not on it's not mechib mezuzah. That means if the mashkav are over here and the mezuzah is a little bit outside, yeah, the mashkav is, let's say, over here, and 4 or 5 tefachim inside, or a little bit less, that's not considered the mashkav. We're going to get to that. But akaponam, if it is parallel, it is going all the way, like ayrav, the same as the ayrav. If you have a 10 tefachim lechi, yeah, and the wire is right above it, exactly under the lechi, that's considered tzesa pesach, and since a kosher ayrav, the same one goes by mezuzah. That's called a regular mezuzah, and it's mechiyev to put a mezuzah.
If the counter is only 10 tefachim high, then the mezuzah would be less than 10 tefachim. Within 10 tefachim to the ground.
I don't care. The mezuzah could be less than 10 tefachim. As long as you have a wall which is 10 tefachim, it is considered a mezuzah. Now, once you have this such a mezuzah, you could put it, I don't care if the mezuzah is less than 10 tefachim. Who said it cannot be less than 10 tefachim? The wall has to be at 10 tefachim.
So where's the gaivish shlish though? The gaivish shlish is only on the counter cabinet. Only tack on the counter cabinet. Only the counter cabinet. Yeah. You only count the counter cabinet. Exactly. Nicht mit starf Oiben. Oiben is nicht nachgeminnet. Nicht machana.
No.
Ja.
Right. You cannot put Oiben. Oiben is air. There's no air. There's nothing.
When we kicked off the mezuzah, nicht wie heich the mash business kimt onto the mashke. The mezuzah, in this case, the cabinet. The cabinet.
Is the cabinet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Going out to a porch, a mezuzah which goes out to a porch, or from a porch going to a house, is a mezuzah mechiba mezuzah, a porch mechiba mezuzah. Now, I'm not going to go in now which way. We're going to talk to it when we're going to come the next sheet. How you put the mezuzah, haketzir, nish haketzir. We're going to get into that. But akaponam, a porch is mechiba mezuzah. That's called a part of your bias, and it is mechiba mezuzah. Although it does not have a roof, and it's a bias which doesn't have a roof, you have 4 walls, there's no ceiling, you spot him in a mezuzah. So why is a porch mechiba mezuzah? And the same question will go, why a chotzer mechiba mezuzah? doesn't have a roof, it doesn't have a ceiling? The answer is a dira needs to have a ceiling, because that's the stamshes of a dira, of an apartment, of a house, to have a ceiling. A porch, stamshes of a porch, and the stamshes of a chotzer is without a ceiling, so therefore it's mechiv without a ceiling. A house which doesn't have a ceiling is potem in a mezuzah, because it can't be mishtamash. But a chotzer or a porch which doesn't have a ceiling is mechiv mezuzah. Now, if it has dalet, kemiven is mechiv mezuzah, because then it's mitzad datzmai. If it doesn't have dalet, then we're going to go in if it's a bayshar to the house or not, and then we're going to see if it's a bayshar, you put it going into the house, and if it's not a bayshar, then it's basically spotted. If it doesn't have dalet, and it's no stamshes, where do we have it? We have it today they also nice houses, which from the dining room goes out the window. It's a tiny porch. It's like a small porch, which basically it's almost impossible to go out. It's not dalet. It's only you go out, it's for fanciness, or even if you could go out, but it's not a thing which you could sit. In such a case, doesn't have dalet, it's poter min hamazizah.
In circa of the cabinet, Shala,
yeah,
pink wenn mal mezuzah metonisch liegen in der oberste tefach. Das heißt, yeah, it should be lower.
No, you could like the oberste tefach. You could like it's not akef. You could not lower. Lamata mishlish atachten is makef b'de'evet. Lamala is nicht so pushed as am makef b'de'evet. But I can put them according to the post which hold that if you put it on betoch tefach somach lamalo. Yeah. But according to the post which say that you cannot put it exactly, you have to put it a tefach lower than where it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're right.
Yeah.
Lamatu is lecholadais post. Lamalo, as we're going to see, is nicht lecholadais. A lot of posts, but not everybody. Okay, now what?
Lamata mahashlish ha. Lamata
mishlish alien is a post lecholadais. If a person puts in middle of the second shlish, it is post.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get to that a tall Pesach Shah. We get Kimmotzi and Yonam, which Abrakaponam, just to get back to the cabinet. Yes, you should put it a tefich lower. A base shar, as we mentioned before, is mechibe mezuzah. Now a base shar and mechibe mezuzah, not only it's a base shar to a one room, even if it's a base shar to another room, which the other room goes into a third room. If one of the rooms, you have 10 railroad rooms, which go into the other one, and since one of them, the last one is mechibe mezuzah, all the rooms, all the doors is going to be a beishar, and it's going to be mechibe mezuzah.
Okay, what's the
next? Except if the beishar is to a mukam apatar, but if it's going eventually into a room which is a mukam mechiv, is it a beishar with a mechibe mezuzah als a beishar? What's the question?
Zwischen Sif Ches and Sif Tes, bin ich aber beishar, wie es ist positioned. Den Afgemina, sie steht bei den Labais, sie steht Labais für Lachotze. What's the nafgemina?
What do you say?
What's the nafgemina zwischen Mechaber Ches and Mechaber Tes?
Mechaber Ches is beishar, shepasich Labais elachutzer. Yeah, so now both of them are mechibe mezuzah. So it's mechiv, side the chutzer mechibe mezuzah, and side the house mechibe mezuzah. So zuk di as mis mechiv on two sides, also going into the chutzer, also going in to the house.
So V is this? Is it when you walk into a fancy house?
You walk out from the house into a beishar into the chutzer, or vice versa, from the chutzer into a beishar into the house.
Even the practice gerät, the grace of Balabata Shahaiza haben Ginas from the front, Ginas in the middle, Ginas at the end.
That's for sure. That's for sure, because in such a case, is a zichra by shar. You have to in such a case, what you said, you have a big front lawn. You're going into a beishar, and the beishar takes you into the house. But and over there, which way you're going to put it? Both are going into the house. In Sif Ches, he talks something different. You're going into a beishar, you make a right going into the house, you make a left going into the chotzer.
So where is it practice correct? Practice correct. We kicked us off. What's the heiche attempt from though?
The heiche attempt is you're going into a small room which before of the house, and in order to go in to the chotzer, you have to go into the Beis Sha'ar. In order to go to the house, you have to go into the Beis Sha'ar. So you're going in from the street, you're going into the Beis Sha'ar, and you make a right, you're going into your house, let's say, or you make a left, going into the to the chotzer, or you're going straight, you're going into the house, making a left, you're going into the chotzer. So you have to put two mezuzahs. One is going into the chotzer, one's going into the house, because the chotzer mechiba mezuzah, the house mechiba mezuzah. Then he says, next comes the same scenario. One goes into the house, and one goes into to a gina. Beis Sha'ar oimet bei einer gina lebais. Chai b'shtayim is ach mukim sheb'sich lebais, ach mukim sheb'sich legina.
Is the Beis Sha'ar mamish connected, attached? Mamish connected? It's found
yes.
A pistol space.
No, it's connected. You go in, it's mamish. It's connected.
Aha.
Yeah.
It's nicht pshat. There's like a few amas, a few feet. Man kann sich drehen. No.
Sie do in Beis Sha'ar haben wir in the Rishonim we have two pshutim in Beis Sha'ar. One pshat in Beis Sha'ar is it is a Beis Sha'ar for the shomer, and that's what you say. They used to have a small booth, which it's a Beis Sha'ar, which the shomer used to sit over there. That's one of the pshut. I think Rasha says this pshat. But the tour in the other shonim which we talking over here, derech klar Redman, it's a Beis Sha'ar which goes into a house and takes you into a gina, takes you into a chotzer and all these things.
Hand is sehr praktisch mit the developments. Menschen, the development, Menschen was leben in a development, kommt man ran auf eine kleine Booth. Mensch fragt, wenn man kannst besichern, do you know what I mean? Hand in Zaten, es war sehr common, als a Beis Sha'ar, wenn der Scheimer steht dort 24 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So a Beis Sha'ar is very common. Beis Sha'ar is we have common such a thing as Beis Sha'ar. For instance, if you go down into a regular house and you have a small room which is not dalat, well, that will take you in a hallway, and that takes you into a bigger room. So that's a Beis Sha'ar for the house. It doesn't have to be a separate, so to speak. It could be a part of your house. Or hallways goes into the category of Beis Sha'ar. All these things, if it goes into a room which is mechiba mezuzah, it is mechiba mezuzah.
Is a Beis Sha'ar mehr chomo as a filas hat nicht kandeles? Is it mechuyev mit der Reise? It does the word from a Beis Sha'ar.
Beis Sha'ar is the kid a filas hat nicht kandalat al dalat, nicht a deles. So kandalat al dalat. Although we say that the room in order should be mechiba mezuzah has to have dalat al dalat, a Beis Sha'ar does not have to have dalat al dalat. But that's a Beis Sha'ar going into a room which has dalat al dalat.
Man schenkt alle anderen 9 Sachen von der Rambam, 10 Sachen. I mean, heißt das a chitz dalat dalat? It has to have, es muss haben alle Tanoim. A delis, a emisatia, nicht nur an archway.
Yeah, according to the Rambam, yes, exactly, yeah.
Nicht nur an archway, es muss haben an tia.
Yeah, exactly. A Beis Medrash. What is the loch of a Beis Medrash? Okay, now nowadays every Beis Medrash has mezuzahs, every Beis Knesset has mezuzahs. Aber a kaponim, bepashtes, a Beis Medrash, haben wir eine riesige Machloikes, if a Beis Medrash is mechiba mezuzah oder nicht. In Shechanurach, in Sifiyit, we see, the Mechaber zog Beis Medrash put him in a mezuzah. Yeah, vim yesh bo Pesach, rugel bo letzais, lebeis chai ba mezuzah bo Pesach. The Mechaber bringt, the Shomram, shebeis Medrash chai ba mezuzah. Baruch HaLosh Levraim, lo yivur chalai. Yeah, that's Pasha the Pshat. What is the Machloikes basically? The Machloikes by Pashtas is, as the Rishonim is in the Masber, as the Poskim is in the Masber, as by the Knesset, by the Medrash is a Platz wie man sitzt nicht dort, you don't sleep over there, and you don't sit all the way, man sitzt nicht dort den ganzen Tag. Man kommt dort in Davenen, and I feel as though a Shiur dort nefesh in the free, aber es ist nicht eine Sache which you can't sleep over there. So therefore, is put him in a mezuzah. Das ist ein Tam. Ein other Tam ist, wenn sie hegdisch, koidisch. Der Rambam sagt, Tam ist koidisch, immer meile bei Seichu, immer nicht hegdisch. Ist du chelikem, what is the reason of this? If it's bezad koidisch, or es ist bezad, was nicht bei Seichu, or es ist nicht bei Seichu. But Lamaße, besmedrisch, this is bei Sekneses, was dort mamisch sitzt man nicht über den Tag. Aber besmedrisch, wenn der Mechaber redt man, was at least the Talmidim sind dort during the day. Since the Talmidim are there during the day, and they eat and they drink over there, although they don't sleep over there, is wegen dem mechiber mezuzah. So a basic knesses, which is made strictly to daven, is in such a case is put in a mezuzah, because or mitzad Rambam mas heg kodesh, or mitzad wegen dem, weil sie nicht tashmish, nicht kan tashmish. The Mechaber sucht bei Samedrash, bringt two dias, is a bei Samedrash, wo es ist bei Eitzem, man sitzt dort, you use it. Also es ist der Schach mit allen Willen als sie nicht gehen mit so bisschen Kneis, was sie potten, wenn man sieht. Wenn sie Kneis potten, wenn man sieht, is not bei Sechu, sie nicht gehen mal dienen. Or wie der Rambam say, hey, koidish. Mashak and Abasamedrash is a thing which the Talmidim sit all day. It's like a Abasamedrash of a koilel, of a yeshiva, or which people sit all day. And therefore, is a Yom Mechibah Maziza, and they eat. So therefore, it's Mechibah Maziza. And Lamaisa, Steiten Shechanure, Volrui, Luchish, Ledevraim, as Mizom Leigen Maziza, Kemiven, Sazana Maziza without a bruch. And as we mentioned before, always we have such a case. If you have a house, you put first on a Mechibah Maziza, then you go into Basamedrash. Okay. Lamasa is steht aber that if there is a stamshus in the Basamedrash for the shamas, which again today's day there's no such a thing, but if there is a stamshus for the Basamedrash, then it's Yom Mechibah Maziza. So let's take it in our Indianum. A Basamedrash which has rooms, which over there, even though there's not a dira for the shamash, but there's a coffee room, and there's all kind of rooms which we use. Is in such a case is b'mechibah maziza, because weil das nicht sie geht nicht an die Gede von Rambam, sie nicht koidisch, weil man darf nicht dort. And so sag was it's usable. So all the rooms which is surrounding the Basamedrash, kemiven is b'mechibah maziza. The only question which we have over here is only the room which mamash must sit and learn of them. Moment is the machloikas, it's b'mechibah maziza, or nicht b'mechibah maziza. Lamasa is the meaning is man macht a maziza an a Basamedrash, also wie in alle andere Plätze. But you can't make a bruch. But if a person has a house, a personal Basamedrash, it's a personal Basamedrash, people have in their basement, they make a Basamedrash, or they have attached from their house, they have a Basamedrash which is connected, and it's a personal Basamedrash, personal. In such a case, you can make a bracha, even with a bracha. Because of Kosov, it's done personal it's by Secho. And even for Kodesh, I feel like the Rambam, it's Shirana Gede for Kodesh, was is done private house. And for such a case, can man machen a bruch. So people, Rabbonim, or Revelach, which they have right next to their house, they have a shul, which is Nishan Arabais Knesi, which is basically a Basamedrash, it's part of their house. Kemiven, such a case, is Chayba Mezizah Kila Alma. It's part of your house, so to speak. It's a part of the house. It's not Lavdavka has to be connected, but at least it's right next to it. And such a case is Mechibah Mezizah. Kemiven in Poshet, we don't have to say it, that if a person has a Sforim Zimmer, which he sits and learns over there, it's part of his house, is Mechibah Mezizah, although he doesn't sleep over there, but Safkasov, it is part of your house, it is Mechibah Mezizah.
So in andere Werte, the Mechaber Sifiyud redt na wegen a Platz, was is na Basamedrash. The whole purpose in the ganze
whole purpose is a Basamedrash, yes. Exactly. Whole purpose of Basamedrash. And therefore, Homes Machloikas, this is ja or nicht. But that's why it's not doing with a basic Knesset. But if it is a person has a personal zan eigene house, it's a part of his dira, so to speak, about his Mechibah Maziza, just because Medaven dort does not make it for basic Knesset, was zan put for Maziza.
Is jeder Chabad-Haus hat nicht kein Geld von Basamedrash, weil Chabad-Haus verkehrt hat ja der Waffen von Basamedrash. Der Chabad-Haus, Spatsch hat das Zimmerin, is kann man rechnen der ganze Klolis ha Binyan, office, playrooms, classrooms, libraries, als hat the Geder von Basamedrash, sie nicht.
No, why should he have the Geder of Basamedrash? Why?
Weil mit Sachen daten. Man macht das Schier dort, man verbringt dort, man kippt
yeah,
zusammen
but again, if it's a personal commitment, it's his personal deal. But if it's not a person, it goes in. You can ask the same question is of Moises opinion. Moises, Talmud Torah. Yeah, what do you do there? Well, why you have to go to a Chabad house?
Yeah.
Yeshiva, Moises Torah. Yeah. What's over there? So over there, the poskim like this. If it is a yeshiva which has also a dormitory, it's kemivus b'chim mezuzah mit abrocha. If it doesn't have a dormitory, it's only a mezuzah which the people learn over there and daven there and use all those things. It's like mezuzah una brocha. So a Chabad house goes into the category of the bachloikes to the mechaber sifyid of a beis hamedrash. Tzvechim and putter. You put a mezuzah without a brocha. Clear? What is the difference between a Chabad house building, then which you have shirim, like you say, than a beis knesses? Then a beis hamedrash. Same thing. So it goes in this machloikas, and therefore you put it on mezuzah without a bracha. Okay, next. Dires arai is pote van mezuzah. So staat in Shechanor Sifyit, Sikkes hachag b'chag, Babai she besfinne, Bachanoi she beshvukim, petirim. And alle pote van mezuzah. That's why in a sukkah you don't put a mezuzah. You don't have sukkahs. Nobody puts a mezuzah if it is not a built-in regular mezuzah. It's only dires arai, and it's pote in a mezuzah. Kemiven, if it's a built-in room, it's 4 sikkas b'chiv mezuzah and after sikkas. Sikkas itself is b'chiv. Well, that is a sikkas arai. So in such a case, since we say that a sikkas arai is potim and mezuzah, so if a person has a car, yeah, which even though he sleeps over there, he goes on a trip, he goes a cross-county trip, or if he has a mobile home, which he is going to be in the mobile home, even if it's going to be more than 30 days, it's still kasikas ara because it is like a bai shebesfinna, which a bai shebesfinna is put him on a mezuzah. Yeah. Now, if it's you have a mobile house, which you connect it to the floor, or you stay stable for 2 months, that's something else. But a thing which is basically usable, and you stay here for 2 weeks, you stay there, and you move, you keep on moving. In such a case, a mobile house is not mechib mezuzah because it is like a diras arai, and even if it has a couple of rooms, it's an apartment. You can have nice big apartments or like a yacht, which is have a lot of nice rooms. It's still not considered a dira which a person sleeps over there with an arai. It's a potem and a mezuzah.
What's the word with an airplane? A mensch was hat an airplane.
A mensch was same thing. Same thing. It's not a place where a person sleeps and uses for a diras kava, and therefore, even if you're an executive, you have constantly on the fly, it's potem and a mezuzah. And that goes on mobile house, that goes on yachts, that goes on airplanes, that goes on a lot of things which people have, all the mashigas which people have today's day, which a bus, yeah, people have a bus, and he might sleep over there. You know, he goes a long way, or even the tractor trailers, which have a bedroom in their tractor trailers. The back is you have a room. All these things is not diras kava and sipotim and mezuzah. Offices. The Mechaber said chanoyas. Chanoyas is potim and mezuzah. Now the Mechaber says chanoyas shebeshvokim. Chanoyas shebeshvokim means that they used to have a expo. They used to have a exposition or a what is it called today's day? They have they make in the Java Center. Yeah, everybody booths, Leipzig, whatever. They used to have put up a house, a chanoyat, and it was for a while, and then used to close it down and move. You know, only when they read was the read. In such a case, that's it's potem and mezuzah. But what is if it is a store, which we have a office, a place which a person works, is mechiba mezuzah or is mechiba mezuzah. Yeah, it's a place which a person is there all day. Yeah, but soft till soft, it's not, nobody's going to sleep over there. It's not a thing which, although he is there all day around, a person is in the store all day, but Alpha Pecan is a place which he doesn't sleep. So some poskim will say it is potter for mezuzah. The same will be also a factory. A person has a factory which all day it works. So since it is not a thing which a person will sleep over there, it's nicht a Sache, was das geht daran geht für Chanoyas, and therefore it's potter min mezuzah. But they have a lot of other poskim which holds it's mechiba mezuzah. Yadakatana says that it is mechiba mezuzah. Ibefrat, a office or a factory which is also workable at night, mechiba mezuzah. Imamayla, therefore, it is the halacha we pass that on a store or an office or a factory, you put a mezuzah, but you put it without a bracha, since we have a machloikis. Now we have by store or by factories, the offices, comes here another nice aspect that some point you want to bring up. They want to say that basically you also storage. You have a warehouse. A factory has a warehouse. It's also a warehouse. You storage over there stuff. An office, although you have it's office with your work, but you have storage over there, files and all kinds of things which you storage. So some poskim will say that since in such a case you storage also stuff, it goes into the category of Beis Oitzer, and you should make a bracha. So the poskim write that the meaning is we don't make a bracha on a store, a factory, or a warehouse. But Rav Osner writes in his shuvas that if somebody wants to make a bracha, you can't make a macho, or you can't say not to make it. If a person wants to make a bracha, there is enough reasons that in an office, in a store, and in a warehouse and a factory, that basically you should make, if a person wants to make a bracha. But lamas again, haluch lamas, and someone's going to ask you to have a store, you're mechiba mezuzah, because we have poskim which say you're mechiba mezuzah, but you're not going to make a bracha. Okay, so how big does a room has to be in order to be mechiba mezuzah? Steht in Shulchan Aruch, Sifit Gimel, in order it should be mechiba mezuzah, only when it has 4 by 4. 4 amas are 4 amas. Or the Mechaba zegt noch mehr. The Mechaba says, "Baish ein ba arba amas la arba amas, pote for a mezuzah. V'im yesh b'kedai arba amas la arba amas b'shuva, is a mechiba mezuzah." It brings down the Rambam. The Rambam says that means if it doesn't have dalat, but you can make dalat, it is mechiba mezuzah. Other poskim disagree with this Rambam, as we're going to see in a minute. So, what is the shear of dalat? Shear dalat, we know there is a machloikas of a poskim, Reb Chaim Noah, and the Chazon Ish. According to Reb Chaim Noah, it's about 6 by 6 feet. According to the Chazon Ish, it's about 8 by 8 feet. So therefore, Kemiven in the Machmar Reb Chaim Noah, in a room which has 6 by 6 feet, it is mechiba mezuzah. Mechiba mezuzah. Now the Mechaba says, "Im yesh bo Rabba." What does it mean? Yesh bo Rabba? Rabba means if you have a room which is 6 by 6, it comes out to how many 6 times 6? How many feet it is? I think 64, something like that. No,
36 square feet.
36 feet, and according to the Chazon Ish, it will be 8 by 8. It's going to be 64, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you have a room which is, let's say, it's by the way, the Chazon Ish is a little bit, was a little bit more than 6 by 6. It's by the cheshbon is by Chaim no is machloikas is 76, about 76 inches by 76 inches. Again, if you have a room. Let's take it. Let's say for argument's sake, 6 by 6, 36, or 7 by 7, 42. you have this square feet, but it's not square. That means you have a room which is a long room, which has dry amas, by 10 amas. So if you're looking at square feet, it is boxed it off, and you will have the shear of Dahlet. According to the Rambam, which the Mechaber brings down, Yesh B'Kedai Rabba, it is Bechiba Mezizah, because since you have the footage, the square footage you have, it is Bechiba Mezizah. And according to a bunch of other poskim, it is not Mechiba Mezizah. And therefore, La Locha, La Maas is a count Ashala, which is very, very shchiach. In La Locha La Maas, we put a Mezizah, we don't make a bracha, since we have a lot of poskim which say that you don't make a bracha, so therefore, we do not make a bracha in such a case, but we are going to put a mezuzah. Now, when we said that it is a room which is less than dalat badalat, is potem and a mezuzah. First of all, we have to remember that if you put in cabinets, for instance, built-in cabinets, from the bottom all the way to the top, then you're going to minimize in the square feet, because although the room itself, when the contractor made the room, it was dalat badalat, but since you put in cabinets and the cabinets is all the way till the top, it is less than dalat badalat, so therefore it's potem and a mezuzah. If you put in cabinet which is 10 tefachim, but it doesn't go on top, and on top from the cabinet you have 10 tefachim, because after all, Hechef in the 10 tefachim we have 10 dalat, and therefore in such a case you should be put a mezuzah without a bracha. But if you put in washer and dryer or a freezer, all these things which is basically you could take out, zung the poskim, this such a thing is not, it's not mamat from the room. So if you have a room which is dalat, you put in a washer and dryer which is removable, or you put in a freezer which is removable, this will not be mamat of the shear, and it's considered a room which is dalat al dalat. Only if it is cabinets which is built in and you don't have on top, then you have the choladais. If it doesn't have a shear, it's spotted from a mechib mezuzah. Now, if you have a room which is less than dalat, but it is the tashmish is less than dalat, that means you have a walk-in closet. Yeah, you have a walk-in closet which it's not dalat, but that's the whole concept. It's a walk-in closet. It's a room, but you can still use it. It says it is. I would say chaylik from bais dira. So some points will say no, as long as it doesn't have dalat, it's not considered a dira which you could use for a regular basis to sleep and use it for a regular. It's potem and mezuzah. Other points, there are some points which say that since it is rule tashmish for his tashmish less than dalat amas, so therefore it is mechiv mezuzah and toiv likvoya mezuzah. Kema chayv mezuzah, but toiv likvoya mezuzah because kibifim without a bracha, but sikadai to make a mezuzah in such a case. Now, what is if it's a room which has dalat, but it's not livable? For instance, you have a walk-in refrigerator or a walk-in freezer. Is that mechiv mezuzah or not mechiv mezuzah? So there's tzeilim aruf miglas merkuchim, and some other poskim agree with him. Hold in such a case, it is mechiv mezuzah, since it is a refrigerator, it is a vaisa oitzer, and it has dalat. Therefore, it is mechiv mezuzah. You cannot live in it because it has a freezer or a refrigerator. It's too cold. You cannot sleep over there. I don't care. You can unplug the refrigerator, and that is a regular room. But I would say most of the poskim hold that since it is a frigidaire, it's a freezer. By freezer, even more people agree that it's not considered a rule dira because it's impossible to live. A refrigerator, that it is, but a lot of poskim, I would say most of the poskim say that walking frigidaire or freezer is potem and a mezuzah because it is not livable, and therefore you don't have to put a mezuzah. Lamasa, some places they are machma to put the mezuzah, and other places I've never. Most of the places I didn't see that in a walking closet in a walking refrigerator should put a mezuzah, but I saw it already once that some people will be machma like tzelim rof. It's interesting. He says it bepshitas. You could live there. it's too cold, you can unplug it. You can shut the freezer and refrigerator, and therefore it's mechiber mezuzah.
Heinz sagt man, als sagt Menschen haben in elevators, in heimische Binyanim, manchmal like in the elevator. Patschen elevator is go klein. An elevator.
Ja, elevator gehen wir ins zweite, ja. Elevator wir ins extra Schale. Elevator is as we mentioned before, as a dire darf sein Stammschuss, is darf sein a dire mit Geweih. So you brought up a Schale. Elevators. Is elevators mechiber mezuzah oder nicht? Und oben ist eine große Machloikes. Sehr große Machloikes. Es du poiskem, wo sie halten, elevator is put in a mezuzah. Why? Because the whole room, even an elevator was Dahlekatã. If it's not Dahlekatã, then okay, then we see the weinig with the sheep. But even if it has big elevators, which Dahlekatã, you know, a big one. Tanazai, as Serish Mechiber Mezuzah, it's not by Dira. It's foot ropes, a person cannot live in them. So therefore it's put him in a Mezuzah. Other points can say, with other hold, it is Mechiber Mezuzah because it is a Beis Shar. Avada mitzad der Chayder, mitzad der Dira, is es nicht Ruf Adira, is a put him in a Mezuzah. But the loy good for a Beis Shar, was Beis Shar is less than $1, and now again is Mechiber Mezuzah was a Beis Shar. As we pass not like the Rambam. So therefore, Zug der Mechasitzchok and other points can agree with him that bis gerecht, dass nicht kann dienen mit Zadatzme. Aber sie dienen mit Zad by Shad, because this is the way how you go up to the upper floors. So therefore, this is Mechiber Mezuzah also by Shad. And a lot of poskim will agree with him, although there are poskim which say some more, you know, a hipsh poskim which say that the elevator put them in a mezuzah. But I would say a lot of poskim agree to the concept that mechiber mezuzah. But now the question is, where do you put the mezuzah? There's three ways how you can put the mezuzah. You could put the mezuzah on the elevator itself. So you put one mezuzah on the box itself, and you're good to go. And you don't need to put on every floor. Other poskim say that you put on every floor. Where? How? And this is most of the poskim will say like this. From the poskim which say elevator should put a mezuzah, a minority will say put it on the elevator itself. Other poskim, most of them will say that you put it, the first floor, you put it going into the elevator. That means going into the Beis Shar. And all other floors, you're going to put it in to the door which opens into the hallway. The door which goes from the elevator into the hallway. Because that's the way how you go in. It's a Beis Shar. The first floor, you're going into the room. From the room, the Beis Shar, you're going into the house. So therefore, most poskim in which hold them mezuzah should be put, they will say they should put it on every floor. The first floor going into the elevator, other floors going out of the elevator. But there are poskim which say you could put one mezuzah on the elevator itself. And the poskim would say elevator is potem in a mezuzah. And if you see a place which there is no elevator, a mezuzah on the elevator, it can be moicha because then you have a nice few poskim which say elevator b'chlal is nicht mechiber mezuzah.
Katsir, it's van een van de hekkatsir of elevator.
The what?
The hekkatsir, the shitter from the Chabad, will be shy by an elevator. Kent toch reinkomen van innovating. Comes to each floor. So in other words, floor number 16, can reinkomen.
You can, yeah. Every floor you could come in, yeah. Every floor you could come in from yeah.
So that was as far as I
in any case, when you have a door which opens with a hekatzir, it will always be outside. That means outside from the elevator, inside to the hallway. So therefore, automatically, you're going to, according to the post which say that every floor you put it going out from the elevator into the hallway, which I said most of the posts say at least the second, third floor. It should be like this. But you're right that according to Chabad, we would say that even the first floor should be such a case, going out in the hekatzir, because you could still jump in from a window. There's always have windows. So you can go in from the window hallway, you know.
Chotch has no window in the elevator itself is masukken. It's not normal to get in a window.
No, elevator versta
Welke window?
But small. So when you say like this, every time you have to first.
Wie ist der Hekatze? Wie ist der erste Szenario von der Hekatze? Reinkommen von der Fenster, reinspringen von der Fenster. Taka elevators have a stickle. All the alta elevators in New York have a like a close of the tier. But where are you coming in from?
Yeah, it's not. You can't come in. It's a closed window which you cannot open, and therefore it's not considered a Kim from the window, as the Rebbe Marash said.
Yes.
That doesn't mean from a closed window. That's a part of the door.
So
you might have a point that if you go the first floor should be going into the base into that, because soft kol soft, the first floor you cannot come in only by the going into the base shah. The second and third floor you go haketzir, because you're going into that base shah from the first floor. In the second, third floor, haketzir. But the first floor, Taka would say it should be going into the elevator. Yes, right.
And
the what?
Rav elevators. Nog eenmaal. The eerste floor zal Taka zijn van de rozen.
Ze zijn going into the elevator.
Ja. Maar schenken alle andere floors zal zijn berekenen als het vangt dan van innerwenig.
Ja. Alle andere floors dat zijn van correct.
So the mezuzah zal zijn mamish innerwenig like the mezuzah. Pas in the elevator. No.
Niet in the elevator. In the Pesach. No. In the Tzirza Pesach from the door, which opens out. You talk in the second floor. Which floor are you talking?
Yeah, it's like a second floor from that
second
post.
Third has to be on the Tzirza Pesach from the hallway.
Right, as me kim te roos, as me fangt on the journey, laat me zeggen, find them elevator to the rosen.
To the elevator to the rosen, exactly. Yeah. A door. So dan doen we nog halakhas vandaag reden, maar okay, let's nog een beetje rangain. A door which has a room which has a lot of doors. Every door, if it's usable, if all the rooms are usable, if the doors are usable, or it was usable, or it's going to be usable. Although you don't use it, you have a main door which going into this place is only a main door. But since all other doors is a thing which you use, it is every door. Only if you have a door which is not made to use at all. You have emergency exit which is not made to come in at all. Only to go out, to run out. And in such a case, it's not mechiba mezuzah, because mechiba mezuzah has to have mezuzahs by seichu b'sherechu derech b'yosku, the door which you go into the room. Now, since that door is not used for coming in, it's only made to go out of the room. So therefore, such a door which is only out, not going in, and you have a lot of but shield which has emergency exits or factories or offices or which it's off limits. It only in some places you can't even come in even with a key. It's basically it's not made to come in, only to go out. Such a case is poshet potem and mezuzah bachlal. If you have bought a door which you use from time to time, although it could be months which you're not going to use, it is still considered a door. In order, you should make sure, if you want that door should be considered that you don't use it at all. It is not even enough you put furniture over there. You have to push it, take off the tziris pesach. That means you have to push it, take off the what is it called, the moldings and screw it together. In order, you should see that you dismantle this door from a door. Only then it's going to be potem and mezuzah. Just by putting a big cabinet which is blocking it, it's not considered a closing up a door. It's still mechiba mezuzah. By the way, when it comes to tzvuz, it also like this. If you have such a door and you never use it, you used to use it, and from now on you're not going to use it, and you put over there a big door, it's not considered that you closed up a door, which is a skana, and therefore it's not a problem, because that's not considered taking off a door. Now, if you have a door which you don't use b'chlal, and you only use it, for instance, for if you want to bring in furniture, yeah, sometimes you have houses which has big double doors, and you're not using it. It's only used, mamash only used when you want to bring in a furniture, or mamash a real thing, but otherwise it's not made to use. In such a case, how many machloikas? and you in such case you should put a mezuzah when it is unabruch. You should put a mezuzah because sof kesov it is a usable door. Sometimes you have a door which is a dummy. You should have sometimes you have a double door, but one is a dummy and you cannot open it in shim case. It's part of the wall. It looks like a door. In such a case, kimivn, that's not considered a door. And although the mashkev is a big mashkev mezuzahs are on the both doors, but since you have it's very common in porch doors. Porch doors you can have doors which you have a big door frame mashkev mezuzahs, and the right side of the door is a glass, and it's stapled. You cannot move it. The left door you can move right to left. So some people have a mistake and they put the mezuzah all the way on the mashkev from the double doors, and it's not correct because that's not the mashkev. The mashkev is the door itself, which is stapled. So therefore, in such a case, the mezuzah has to go on the door which is stapled. Although it looks funny again, but Shechnor doesn't rechnen sich nicht mit looking funny. Since that is basically a wall, it's not considered a door. But if it is a door which basically you could open, you'll go only open it when it will take a long time. If you want to bring in stuff, then you're going to put it on the mashkev outside, and you are going to put it on that side. Okay, there's a lot more halakhas, but we're going to stop over here, and we're going to be mamshich on the andere Woche nach halakhas, and we'll go to other simonim too. Is there any questions for now?
Ja, a fire exit was man geredet a paar Minuten zurück. In andere Wörter, the fire exit, es geht von inside to outside. What should be, was is the kav ha-machriya, soll mich chayv sein, Mezuzah? A handle von der anderen Seite. Heißt es mechutz lepnim. Hotstake mit pnim steigt fire exit or exit.
No, if it's, no, even if it has a handle, if it's not made to use, you don't want it to use, and your makpid you should use is only emergency exit, and people do not use it, yeah, you have to have alarm on it or whatever, then it's not considered coming in.
Versteht das der Ballabais?
It could be if somebody has the key, could come in, but it's not made for that, so that's not machiv mezuzah.
Maar schenken of the Ballabais will umfangen nitzen das von der Rosen to come inside.
Okay, then that's machiv mezuzah. Exactly, yeah.
We warten nicht für ein Eulam.
Nein, es ist nicht geil, Eulam. Es ist nicht geil. Even if rough people are using one door, if some people using other door, it's auch machiv mezuzah. It's a stuli rough. We don't go rough.
Right. The Balabai
decided he wants to start using it, or he comes in. Only he has the key, and he comes in. That's machiv mezuzah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
You said that a walk-in closet, it is not dollar by dollar. Some say that it does need a mezuzah because it's.
Some will say that since that's the shtamshus, you should put it in a mezuzah. But it has to be a walk-in closet. I'm not talking a closet which is you can't walk in. It's only a feet you can go in. I'm talking you can walk in mamash. Some closets which is deep closets, so it's you have a feet maybe which you can go in, but that's still considered a regular closet. It's not a walk-in closet. I'm talking a walk-in closet.
Right. The same thing for a kitchen, let's say a Pesach kitchen, that if it's just a foot or something that you have in there, it's also the same thing. It's also not considered if it's not. You don't really have daled by daled, and it's not really a place you can really be comfortable.
Yeah, but if Efshel Rabba, then you have the shittas amachaber. You have to put. I'm talking Efshel Rabba also. You cannot make 36 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. In such a case, we will have the poskim which say, since that's his derech ishtamshus, it's a kitchen which people go in to cook. Although it's a tiny kitchen, then you should put a mezuzah.
Without a bracha.
Kimivn, because some poskim say it's not machiv. Yeah.
And a regular hallway, was is very common. Every house, jede Stieb hat es. A hallway, was sagt Zimmerun, a hallway must haben dalad.
No, it doesn't, because that's a base shah.
That's a base shah.
That's a base shah.
Yeah. Right. Because it leads, it
leads to a Sache, was im Chibem is. Yeah.
Right. Man schenkt a kleine hallway. Mama lass sagen alle am beamme is noch halt bei Sha. A kleine hallway.
Es du was will tanen as has to be some kind of stuff on episode 9 stuff on minimum sein fucham. This is schon if it's tiny is nicht bei Sha. Wir kennen schon überwochen. Stuff on a place ja Menschen kennen rib an. So some boys can say I think at least 3 fucham or they say 7 fucham good. That's to be some kind of istamshus. You know, if you have a feet wide, we can schon einfach drin.
Und der Wort von der Beischai ist, das Lied a viele Lefoches ein Tier.
Ein Tier muss man geben, Mezuzah, yeah.
Right, Lefoches minimum, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
yeah, okay, good night. We'll see you next week again. Kol Tov.